Ow.
My feet, but it's too cold. My feet are numb. But let's warm up a bit, shall we? And learn about a Hurley legend with a long career in the FBI, then a former reporter of WJFW, joins the program to talk about a documentary he's working on. We'll get to all that in a bit, but first, here's your top 4 at 4. We had a huge game last night in high school hockey. Rhinelander against the top-seeded Northland Pines in the sectional semifinals. Here we go. Straight to the second period. Still scoreless until Rhinelander senior Jake Losh dumps it to Carter Detienne. You saw it there. He finds the net. They're up 1-0. Less than a minute later, Joe Schneider on the breakaway. He finds side net Hodags up 2-0. But the Eagles would answer a loose puck near the net here, and freshman Michael Malett sneaks it in to put Pines on the board, and they keep it coming. Luke Wessel snaps the wrister off the top of the post and in. We're all tied up in the dome. And the scoring just getting started. Rhinelander's Harlan Wojtusik goes 5-hole right here to put the Hodags up 3-2, and they would not look back. Rhinelander goes on to win 6-4. They move on to the sectional semifinals, actually the sectional finals on Saturday. Today, poll workers, community members, and the new Rhinelander city clerk gathered at City Hall to test out their new voting machines. It's been quite a few years since the city's gotten new machines. These ones should make it easier to count ballots at the end of Election Day. Rhinelander's new city clerk, Teresa Lassick, said surrounding townships are also switching to the same machines. And speaking of voting, we have an election coming up. Election Day is Tuesday for the state superintendent primary. Tomorrow, by the way, is the last day to request an absentee ballot. But that will make a quick turnaround. So at this point, you probably just want to vote in person. And you can meet all 7 candidates tonight on Newswatch 12 at 5 and 6. Here's something interesting. Doctors at UW Health have seen historically low flu numbers this winter. On this day last year, UW Health had seen more than 1,000 positive influenza tests in the previous winter. So today, though, 1,000 last winter, health officials from UW only reported 1 for this season. This trend has been seen around the country. Health officials say this is likely a direct result of COVID-19 protocols, including mask use, social distancing, increased hand hygiene, and people staying home when they're sick. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Willard joins us now for another cold day. Jeff, how are we doing?
Hey, Dan, another amazing winter day across the area today. It's been warmer. We started off here again, 20 below in Rhinelander, also Eagle River, 26 below in Land O'Lakes. We felt that. My toes are still cold, but we rebounded nicely. We're at 3 in Rhinelander right now, also in Tomahawk 5 for our provider is 6 there. So yeah, we'll have lows tonight down near 20 below again, as the core of the coldest air, though, is just to our north right now. We'll get a reinforcing shot of this on Saturday, followed by a warming trend after the weekend. We got to get there first. So here we go. Tomorrow, 6, 4 on Friday. There's that bit of cooler air on Sunday, and then right back up again Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are teens holding in the forecast for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And here we are. Familiar territory, right? As a wind chill advisory, you know what to do. Basically, take it easy. Feel like temperatures near 30 below tonight will freeze your skin in a matter of minutes. Your forecast is low temperatures down near 20 below with some clear skies. Your full forecast at 5 o'clock.
There's something wrong here.
'Cause all that I want is for you to be happy. Well, give me a chance to show that you can be. Well, open your eyes and you'll see the way I see. 'Cause all that I want is for you to be happy with me.
Don't miss 3 all-new episodes of Wednesday's most watched dramas.
Your life is precious, and you need to fight for it.
Okay. My baby's in the backseat.
Not waiting. You with me?
He was my son, and some punk shot him.
I know how difficult this is, but we're close to solving it.
An all-new Chicago Wednesday, tonight on NBC.
Northland Basement Systems is the all things basementy company. Basement waterproofing, basement finishing, basement structural repair, humidity and mold control, and nasty crawl spaces too. When it comes to basement solutions, nobody does it better than we do. Since 1991, homeowners just like you in the Northland have trusted Northland Basement Systems for all things basementy in their homes. Call Northland Basement Systems today to schedule a free home evaluation.
Exciting things call for a drum roll, like this new offer on one of Wisconsin's favorite lotto games. It's Badger 5 with Lightning Ball. During February, there's a 1 in 3 chance that a lightning ball strikes a play. When it does, players get an extra number, which means better odds of winning a prize. Jackpot not included, only in February. This exciting offer from the Wisconsin Lottery is going fast.
Here's footage from 2 days ago, Jeff. We have a snowman graphic that you have, and a very perceptive viewer called in and said the physics are all off. You have the scarfs and the snowmen going one way, you have the wind going another way. Care to explain?
No, the wind is blowing the snowman, and the snowman...
But in the bottom, you can see the wind is coming towards us, and the snowflakes are going straight down.
Equal and opposite reaction, so the snowman's kind of like waving in the wind.
Okay, well, just something to think about, because that person called in, and I can't stop thinking about it. We're actually pretty much out of time. We have 2 big stories, Jeff.
What?
And I do want to give a warning to people. We're going to be talking to Danny McKinney later. He's a former reporter with WJFW. He has a very intense documentary, so be careful of that if you're sensitive to those types of things. But we'll be right back with some Hurley history.
Sometimes I
Wausau Child Care is a community-driven organization specializing in quality care for children. Wausau Child Care provides a loving environment for your child and has flexible hours to work around your schedule. Your children come first, and that includes safety and security. Our staff regularly ensures that both the children and their environment are safe and nurturing. Wausau Child Care Inc. has 3 locations and several nationally accredited programs, fostering growth for the children we serve.
Welcome to Land O'Lakes, Serenity at the top of Wisconsin.
Stay with us at the Gateway Lodge in Land O'Lakes. Relax in our indoor pool, delicious dinners, and the coziest lounge in town. Come back to tradition at the historical Gateway Lodge.
With a name like Bud, I always knew flowers were my calling, and nothing will make your special someone swoon like a dozen stems.
Whoa, backpedal there, Bud. What would make me swoon is a new smartphone. And at Cellcom, smartphones are 50% off.
What in carnation?
Here's a super sweet deal just in time for Valentine's. Now save 50% on one of 10 amazing smartphones. Cellcom, clarity in a cloudy world.
That's what I call a budding romance.
What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so excited. I just can't wait for summer.
Can't wait to get on the water and want a private shopping experience to start planning your summer weekends? Then go to our website and book your VIP tour with American Marine and Motorsports in Shawano. Get first crack at the lowest prices anywhere, and we're matching deposits up to $1,000 on select products. Don't get left out in the cold. Book your VIP private shopping experience at American Marine now.
A nursing home promises to care for our parents as cherished loved ones. But if your parents have been injured in a nursing home, we can help. Habish, Habish, and Rotier. We fight for what's right.
Welcome back to Up North at 4. We are continuing our How We Got Here series and our Local Legend series. Today I'm joined by Kristen Kolasar from Hurley. Kristen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited to learn about Joe Sullivan, a legend from the Hurley area. So let's hear about Joe Sullivan.
All right. So Joe Sullivan was born on February 17, 1917 in Montreal, which is just a few miles away from Hurley. His parents were George and Flora Sullivan, and he was the second of 5 children. Joe graduated from Hurley High School in 1934. He was very active in a lot of different activities. He was class president. He played basketball and football. He was in the drama club and also in forensics. After he graduated from high school, he enrolled at UW-Madison, and he earned his bachelor's degree in 1938 and his law degree in 1941. During the summers, he did return home to Montreal to work at the Montreal mine, and this helped him to pay his tuition. So shortly after Joe graduated, he took a job with Standard Oil in Green Bay, and a fellow UW alumni suggested that he apply at the FBI because the pay was so much better at the FBI. So Joe was hired by the FBI, and his first assignment was actually in Venezuela during World War II. He was tracking down Nazis and communists. So after World War II was over, Joe was relocated to New York City, and he was placed in the Domestic Intelligence Agency. Primarily, he worked on cases involving the KKK and the Mafia. Joe was having a really good track record with solving his cases, so he became the bureau chief in Houston, Texas, and then was transferred to Anchorage, Alaska. In 1963, he returned back to New York City, and he was named a major case inspector. Now, the case that Joe is most famous for is Mississippi Burning. It took place in 1964 during the Freedom Summer. Thousands of college students from the North were traveling to the South to get African Americans registered to vote. There were 3 Freedom Summer volunteers. 2 were from New York. Their names were Michael Schwirmer and Andrew Goodman, and they were joined by an African American from Mississippi named James Chaney. The 3 were investigating a fire at Mount Zion Methodist Church in the small town of Philadelphia, Mississippi. They were warned, do not stay in Philadelphia after dark. So they did their investigation, and they were heading out of town when they were stopped on a minor traffic violation. They were put into jail and released around 10:30 p.m. That was the last time anyone heard or saw from them again. So right away when they disappeared, the FBI became involved because they suspected things like this were going to happen. 2 days after their disappearance, their abandoned car was found, and Joe was sent to the scene. He knew that he was going to need a lot of backup because he did not have cooperation from the locals, many of whom were affiliated with the KKK. So the FBI ended up sending 300 agents to investigate this disappearance, which was one of the highest number of agents sent on any one case. They were missing for 44 days before their bodies were finally located. And they were only located because there was an informant named Mr. X who told Joe where he could find the bodies. They had been buried underneath a newly built dam at Old Jolly Farm, which was a piece of land owned by one of the county's richest residents. So the case was solved and 18 people were charged, but because the trials had to happen in Mississippi, they were not federal crimes, only 8 were convicted and of only minor civil rights violations. Nobody was ever charged with the murder of those 3 young men. So after that case, Joe did go on to work on other major cases throughout U.S. history. He was involved in the assassination of Martin Luther King, the Kent State shootings, and also the bombing of the Sterling building at UW-Madison. And Joe was able to use his knowledge of when he worked in the mine with explosives in Montreal to help solve that case really rapidly. Joe retired from the FBI in 1971. After his retirement, he stayed active. He was a security consultant for the airline industry. He was a private consultant. And then he was also a very good volunteer in New York City. He was the Rotary Club president for a year, and he volunteered almost every day at St. Agnes's Soup Kitchen. Joe did return home to the Hurley area every single summer. And in 1996, he was honored by the Wisconsin FBI and local law enforcement officers for his work during the civil rights era. He was also named a distinguished alumni by the Hurley Education Foundation. Joe passed away in 2002 at the age of 85. His obituary ran in papers throughout the country, including the Wall Street Journal, and it was titled The Gentle G-Man, because Joe was most proud of his nonviolent approach to solving crime. When he died, Tom Clancy called him the greatest lawman America has ever produced. Even though Joe was involved with some of the most turbulent periods in American history, he always stayed humble and hardworking. And I think that's what embodies a local legend.
Wow, Kristen, thanks so much. I had no idea who Joe Sullivan was before you came on this program, and now I know so much, and it seems like he was such a instrumental figure in ways that I never would have guessed a Hurley resident would be. So thanks so much for joining us, Kristen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Core from Lang Lade Ford. When I want the forecast for Antigo, I go to WJFW.com for my hometown forecast.
Your hometown weather, available 24/7 at WJFW.com. Furniture and Mattress USA in Antigo. We have the inventory and we know how to use it. Furniture and Mattress USA has the largest Lazy Boy comfort studio in the Northwoods. Don't order a recliner, buy a recliner and bring it home today. We have a large selection of mattress options in stock with more inventory arriving weekly. Extra soft to extra firm, we have the size and the style you're looking for. Don't order a mattress, buy a mattress and bring it home today. For furniture and mattresses, come to Furniture and Mattress USA in Antigo.
ELM Repair in Edgar is a family-owned and operated full-service diesel repair shop. From pickups to semi-trucks to heavy equipment and RV service. If it runs on diesel, we can repair it. Want more power and better mileage? Our experienced professionals will get your truck running and at peak performance. With a state-of-the-art dyno and fully stocked parts department, we can even come out to you with our 24-hour mobile repair service. ELM is always looking for passionate and talented people to join our team. The Diesel Doctor have it done right the first time at ELM Repair.
Rhinelander Chrysler Jeep Ram. A great selection and great employees equal the greatest experience. 3620 North Highway 47, Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
Bella Friday here at Tundraland. Growing up in Wisconsin, I spent many weekends on my parents' deck listening to dad jokes. Like, do you know why the pony lost his voice? Because he was a little hoarse. Your backyard is a place where memories are made, and a brand new deck by Tundraland is a great way to make your backyard beautiful. Call 1-800-Tundraland for special savings like half off installation. Call 1-800-Tundraland and do me a favor, tell them Bella sent you.
Welcome back to Up North at 4. You may recognize the person right here. His name is Danny McKinney, and he's a former WJFWer. He's working on a documentary right now. We'll get to the documentary in a bit, but first, Danny, how are you doing today?
Great, Dan. Thanks for having me on the show today. Really excited to be here.
So a lot of people, we have a lot of loyal viewers of Channel 12, so you might be recognized, probably more facial hair than you had back then. But just tell us about your history with WJFW. When did you work here, and what were your main things that you worked on?
Sure. So I worked at Newswatch 12 back in 2013. I was a journalist. I was an anchor and reporter. I worked on the morning show a little bit, worked with Haley Tempass, and reported on stories around the Northwoods. Some of the more memorable stories I worked on. I did a story on Norma Johnson, who had 38 goldfish. I did a story with Lex Gray. We did a 120-mile run. Basically, Lex traveled with someone named Barb Klinner. She was raising money for Pediatric Cancer Society, and she ran from Weston to Zockow, right outside of Green Bay, 120 miles overnight. And it was just a really enduring story, really grueling. And that was one of the more memorable stories when I was at Newswatch 12, definitely.
Very cool, Danny. Well, let's talk about your documentary a little bit. Tell me what inspired you to make this documentary. We'll watch the trailer in a bit, but let's just start with kind of the genesis of this documentary.
Sure. So this is kind of a culmination of my life story dealing with mental health. I started dealing with this struggle when I was back in high school, middle school time, got diagnosed with depression. And then when I got to college, that's when things really started to kind of spiral down. I was diagnosed after I dropped out of college when I was 23 years old. The doctor said it was schizophrenia, bipolar, or something else. So I was a little unsure of the exact diagnosis at the time. it wouldn't come until I was about 25, 26 years old when I finally realized through doctors and through hospitalization that I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which is kind of a combination between schizophrenia and bipolar. It's kind of got the best in both worlds of both of those disorders.
All right, so let's take a look at the trailer for the Danny film.
And 24 times 1 is 24. Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to another Countdown to 60 Seconds. I'm your host, Danny McKinney. Glad you could tune in to another Countdown of 60 Seconds. I'm Danny McKinney. I'm Danny McKinney.
And I'm Danny McKinney.
And good morning, Connoisseur. I'm Dan McKinney.
I'm Dan McKinney. We've got a great show for you today, including...
This has been a passion of mine ever since 7th grade, and, since then I like to consider myself a backpack journalist because I love having a hand in all aspects of the production.
I've always loved looking through the lens of the camera, telling stories about people, places, and events. So I became a journalist.
News Watch 12 Midday starts now.
I'm Dan McKinney. Alongside, he's got 4.9 million barrels of...
And then one day I started hearing voices. I spent 5 days in a room without a window or toilet. This is the real-life story of my descent into madness. Of an Emmy Award-winning journalist. The doctors rescued my mind, but hope saved my life. And sometimes it feels like my mind is a TV.
We seem to be having some technical difficulties.
From the city of brotherly love to the Pacific Northwest, these images that you've seen here on screen have helped set my bipolar mind free. And allowed me to be me.
So Danny, my first thoughts on this trailer is your use of video and sounds that, I don't have this disorder, but I feel like it really kind of puts the viewer into the mind of someone with schizoaffective disorder. Was that your intention with the specific edits you made?
Exactly, Dan. So, I wanted to give the viewers a sense of my descent into madness. And this is kind of a visceral look into, the mind of somebody with schizoaffective disorder. And it's very raw, and it's kind of just a compelling look into what goes on in my head, and I'm trying to visually tell that story. But ultimately, this is a story of hope. The doctors rescue my mind, the medicine realigned my thinking, but ultimately this is a story of hope, because hope is what saved my life. So this is the message that I'm trying to come across or pass along to people who are struggling with mental health, is that hope is out there, and hope is there for people who want to grasp onto it and pull themselves out of the depths of darkness.
How can people learn more about the Danny film?
They can visit www.thedannyfilm.com, where there's all kinds of information, ways to contact me, and also there's a link to the Kickstarter. We've got a Kickstarter campaign going on right now. We raised about $4,500. Our goal is $7,000, so we're trying to get there. We have about 25 days left in the Kickstarter, so if anyone is interested in helping to fund the film, you can join on to the Kickstarter and help support the film.
Well, I always like seeing former Channel 12ers succeed, so I'm glad you're working on the project. You gave me kind of an early cut of it. It looks great, but I want to make sure that our viewers have a chance to kind of learn just one more thing about you. We see a lot of Channel 12ers come and go, so I just want to know what comes to the top of your mind when you think about the Northwoods and your time living in Rhinelander.
Oh my gosh, Dan, I think it's the people. It's the people that make up the Northwoods that make it so special and beautiful. I miss I miss the hometown feel of Rhinelander. I knew growing up I always wanted to be a journalist, and I wanted to go to a small town where I walked into the bar and everybody knew my name, and that was certainly the Rhinelander feel. I think back to my days in Rhinelander and the times I spent at Pat's Tavern and Pam and Dennis there at Pat's Tavern, and Taco Tuesdays, and just the wonderful people there, that always greeted you with a smile and the warmth of a hometown feel. And that's something that you can't find. I haven't found anywhere else. And Rhinelander is just a really special place. And I certainly miss the people the most.
Danny McKinney, former WJFW, we're on to bigger and better things with his Danny Film. You can go to thedannyfilm.com to learn more. Danny McKinney, thanks so much for joining us on Up North at 4.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Dan.
Brighten up your home and save big money right now at Menards. Stop in and check out our great selection of over 230 in-stock Fight electric LED bulbs. Great for all of your fixtures. These LED 60-watt equivalent bulbs use 83% less energy than standard bulbs. Available in soft white or daylight color temperatures. Pick up a 4-pack for only $3.99. Start saving now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
This is one of the biggest furniture events of the year, the President's Sale at Slumberland. Come on. Slumberland Furniture has the best prices around on all sorts of furniture. And right now at our President's Sale, everything is an additional 25% off our already low price.
This is totally you.
Oh. Yeah, this is the winner. Well, hello, Slumberland.
Get your look for less at the huge President's Sale at Slumberland.
It's totally normal to have constipation with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way.
More exercise, more water, and more fiber is the only way to manage it.
Is it?
Maybe you think it's occasional constipation.
Maybe it's not.
It could be a chronic medical condition called IBS-C. And time to say yes to Linzess. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It helps relieve belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Change your thinking to IBS-C. If your constipation and belly pain keeps coming back, tell your doctor and say yes to Linzess.
The kitchen remodel project was a major project. After checking around, we went to Featherstone, and we were so glad we did. There was electrical work, plumbing, enlarging a doorway, and of course, all the cabinets, countertops, and fixtures. The minute I walked in the door at Featherstone, I knew I was in the right place. Featherstone coordinated every aspect of the project, the whole thing. They made it easy. And I can't say enough about how much we appreciated the personal attention Featherstone gave us.
Okay, let me try to explain this again. The snowflakes are going down perfectly still, which implies no wind, yet the scarves on the snowmen are blustering in the wind, which implies a lot of wind. Also, seems like atmosphere in the bottom, which is rushing towards us, Jeff.
So you're saying I messed up?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a funny observation, and we are out of time, so we'll see you at 5 and 6.